everyone. I'm Divya, the Chief Growth Officer for Qure AI, and I have the pleasure today of speaking with Dr. Nina Kottler from Radiology Partners. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Dr. Kottler. How has the conference been for you so far?
The conference is, as always, super exciting. It's one of those crazy times. I always describe it to everyone as it's like sprinting a marathon. So there's so many cool things. You're going on adrenaline, but then you get back and you kind of crash because it's a lot.
So I'm going to first do an introduction for the few people who may not know Dr. Kottler. Dr. Kottler is an MD and MS and a prominent radiologist with over 17 years of experience in emergency radiology. She is renowned for her pioneering work in radiology AI and her background in applied mathematics and optimization theory, which has made her a respected figure in the world. As an associate CMO for clinical AI and VP of clinical operations at Rad Partners, Dr. Kottler leads the data science and analytics division, actively contributing to the advancement of AI in radiology. She holds key positions in several committees, including RSNA, ACR, and SIM. She was honored with the 2018 Trailblazer Award for her significant role in imaging informatics. Dr. Kottler, thank you so much for joining us. Over the years, I've seen the conversation around AI change quite a bit. What do you think is the role that AI can play specifically in the field of plain imaging?
Thank you. So X-ray is the vast majority of the work that we're doing today in radiology. I think all of you who are radiologists know that. In our practice, X-ray is 50% of what we do. And that, for us, that's like 25 million exams a year. It's a massive amount. It is the most prominent product across not just the US, but everywhere in the world. And having something that can affect such a high volume is really valuable to us as radiologists, especially these days when we just don't have the capacity to get through all of the work, right? The imaging volume has been growing at 7 to 8% per year, whereas the radiologist volume in terms of new radiologists that are starting out, growing at maybe 1 to 2% a year. And that gap has significantly increased over time. And we're at the point now where we just can't manage it. And I think we as radiologists, if we don't figure out how to manage that gap, someone's going to figure it out for us. And that's never going to be as good of a solution as if we do it ourselves. So having something that affects a high volume, I think is going to be important, something that helps us affect our efficiency in that. I'll also suggest that a lot of radiologists coming out of training these days, they are less interested in X-ray. I think they're probably less proficient in X-ray. I went through training a very long time ago. So the people that trained me in X-ray, that's what they did. They were masters. They could see things that just looked invisible to everyone else. And I think that degree of expertise is a little bit lost now where there's so much cross-sectional. A lot of people really want to do the work in CT and MR. And so we're not seeing that anymore. So having help in that area, because what we've seen from artificial intelligence in general is that it helps a radiologist who's a generalist get up to the level of a subspecialist. And that's what we could really use.
Fantastic. No, we can't have you everywhere, so we definitely need AI supporting people. What do you think are some of the, the barriers or the challenges that we would have to work on to make sure that, AI becomes the norm and not the exception in plain film reporting?
So I think this will be true for everything, plain film and everything else, but there are a lot of barriers to entry right now. If you guys don't know the Gartner Hype Cycle by now, look it up for sure, but most of you probably do. And the way that you get to that plateau of productivity where it's in general use and it becomes more standard of care is to have best practices. It requires something to be a little more plug and play for everyone to be able to use it. And unfortunately, everyone's doing things a little bit differently right now because we're not quite there from a maturity standpoint. So having the tools out there where people can use them, create best practices from them, I think is going to be one really important one. A second thing is the reporting component of it. So people read x-rays fairly quickly. So a lot of people will say, oh, you can't add value by pointing out a few things on an image of a chest x-ray, because I look at that and I know very quickly. But what really helps is the reporting. So if you can not just automate some finding, but then translate that over to the report, then that's really going to transform the efficiency of an AI tool. So that will really help. I'd say the third part will be integration. A lot of AI is not well integrated into our current solutions and into our workflow. There's a lot of data movement that has to happen on the back end. And the AI vendors that can create great AI solutions have fantastic data scientists. The ones that also have great engineering in the background, those are the ones that are able to get the data to the AI system, get the AI system to interpret it as quickly as possible, because turnaround time is essential. If you don't get the result to the radiologist before they open the study, well, it doesn't matter how accurate you are. So you need that engineering component as well. And those are some of the biggest barriers I've seen.
Very, very wise words. We often say that it's creating an algorithm is, the easiest part, but making sure it's in the workflow and getting used and adding value is the tough part. Completely agree. We also have a lot of radiologists, residents here who are, starting to dabble with AI, thinking about AI. Some head of radiologies who are, looking at RSNA, so many different vendors, so many different talks about AI. Any advice to them on how to go about it?
Well, first of all, if any of you guys are out there as residents that are doing it, thank you. You're doing absolutely the right thing. I just started learning about AI in 2016, so it's not like I was born knowing this stuff or I learned about it and I've been doing it for, eons. You can learn it quickly. One of the ways that I learned a lot, aside from reading, because I'm a bit obsessed with learning, so I would read about it and it interested me. But the other way was talking to vendors. I actually talked with you guys a lot. I talked with a lot of the other vendors. The vendors have an impressive knowledge, not only about the underlying capability, but also about how it's being deployed and used, and what you want to know are what are the deficiencies. AI is not perfect. Humans are not perfect. It's about putting the two together that make them better together. And that's not an automatic thing. So you want to learn about how can you bring the AI into the RAD workflow in a way that the two are better than either one alone. And I find that the vendors have a lot of insight in there. Of course, you can follow people on social media. There's conferences like this one, which are fantastic. SIM, ACR as well. They have great conferences, and these are all wonderful modes of learning. And I want to suggest not just to residents, but to anyone who is a radiologist or interested in being a radiologist, this absolutely is our future, period. AI working with radiology, this kind of technology is going to be what we're doing in the future, and we won't be able to drive where that goes unless we develop the clinical expertise and understanding about it. So what you guys are doing and trying to learn about it is exactly the right pathway. So thank you.
And maybe last question, Dr. Kottler, you've been coming to many RSNAs and probably like me have seen the dialogue around AI change. So 5 years from now, what do you want to see? What do you want to see from the vendors? What do you want to see from the healthcare community? What would be your dream state in 5 years from now?
It's funny because maybe several years ago, I used to be able to say, what do I want in 5 years? Just in the last year, in the last few months, things have changed so much that it has completely reinvented how I'm thinking about things. So 5 years, if I gave you a prediction for 5 years, I would absolutely be wrong. But what I will say that won't change is having a partnership. We need to have a partnership between the clinicians and the people that are creating these tools, because we're going to drive where the industry goes. And the groups that are really most interested in working with clinicians, I think, are going to be the ones that are most successful, because you need to have that clinical background in order to move things forward in the right way. The other thing that I'm seeing a lot of, which I think is going to transform the industry in the future, and what everyone's talking about, and right now I would say is overhyped. Right? It's a lot further back on the Gartner hype cycle, and it is coming up to that peak of inflated expectations, and those are foundation models. And everyone's talking about foundation models, generative AI, and radiologists. I heard this literally 2 days ago. People were arguing with me saying radiologists are going to be replaced. And I think that that's a little bit of a pessimistic way to think about humanity and our profession. And I prefer to be an optimist. I think technology is fantastic and it will be able to do a whole bunch of things. But I think it's always better when it's aided with a human and the two are working together. We've seen that in all of the research we've done over the many past years, that if you are an educated user, with a technology that they work together better than either alone.
Absolutely. I mean, we haven't had pilots getting replaced because of a co-pilot. So I think I totally agree, and fully, I think wise words again on clinicians and the tech vendors really collaborating, because you know what you need in your workflow, and hopefully we can aid in the process. Thank you so much, Dr. Kottler, for the talk today, and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.